Many people are interested in purchasing a home, but they just don't know where to really start. And that really comes down to the price of houses that makes it so difficult. Like if you're going to the store and you're going to purchase something for 15 bucks, it's very simple. I'm going to walk up to the register, slide my credit card, I'm good to go. But when I go find this house that I really want, it costs 600, 700, 800,000 dollars. We all know we don't have that much cash to purchase it, or most of us don't have that much cash to purchase it. So we need some help in figuring out where do we really start to come up with that money and figure out if we should be buying this house or not. And I like to help you start that process by just answering two very simple questions. The first one is, what do you really want? And then the second one is, do you qualify for it? And so answering that first question of what you really want comes back to more budget oriented rather than what you really want. I want you to think about it as, hey, when that first bill shows up, what do I really want to see in that bill? Because if you ask me what I really want in a house, I always want that mansion, basketball court, huge pool, all these super cool things. But when you sent me that bill, I wouldn't be super excited. So what you really want comes down to understanding the monthly payment fits your budget and you have the cash to close. So the reason I use cash to close instead of down payment is because the down payment is just the dollar amount you're putting to cover that initial equity portion you need in the house. So just to make the numbers really simple, if the loan requires 20% down and you're buying a $100,000 house, your 20% down payment is $20,000. But that's not really your cash to close because there's closing costs. You got to pay your insurance up front, your property taxes. There's actually some interest that's due up front, all those kind of things. So when you're thinking about how much money you need to bring in, you want to know that full amount. It's like when you go out to eat, if you just see the dollar amount on the menu, you got to know that there's going to be tax on top of it. And now all of a sudden there's a waiter, so now there's going to be a tip on top of it. So you don't want to get surprised. It's okay to get surprised when the tax is just a small dollar amount. But if we're talking a surprise of $10,000 or $15,000 at the last minute, that's not what you want to see. So if you can really define that cash to close that you want to see, and then that monthly payment again needs to include everything: property taxes, insurance, HOA if there is one, all those kind of things. So that total monthly payment, using those two numbers, then you want to work backwards and find that purchase price that really fits it. So you got that first question answered. Then you want to go to the second one of, do I qualify for it? And so qualifying for it just means we're going to look at you in three separate buckets and you need to qualify in each of the buckets. And so the first bucket we talk about is really your credit. That mostly comes down to your credit score. There are some other things that can show up, whether it be bankruptcy, foreclosure, short sale, those kind of things show up in the credit bucket also. But typically the focus there is your credit score needs to be at a certain point. For different loan programs, you're going to need a different credit score, or you're going to see different pricing based on where your credit score is. But essentially there's points where, hey, you qualify or don't qualify based on the credit score that you have. Second one is down payment. So just making sure you have enough money for that cash to close. So having the bank statements that show you have enough money, boom, you're good to go in bucket two. And then the last bucket we look at is your debt to income ratio. So we're gonna add up all the monthly debts on your credit report. We're gonna add to that the new monthly payment on the house, including everything, taxes and insurance and all that stuff. Those two numbers together, you're gonna double it, and you need to make that much money on a monthly basis in order to qualify in the last bucket. So again, qualifying in all three buckets means that you'd be good to go. Now you know you can purchase the house that you really want, and you're gonna get a letter from a lender like myself who's going to say, yes, this person, if they get into escrow with you, if they make a commitment that they want to buy your house, they're going to be able to close the loan. And so if you have these two questions answered, you know what you want, and you know you're qualified for it, then you have a pretty good basis for being able to move forward and knowing that you're ready to buy a house.